Hey everybody, nice to be back. Now that my boat has sold in North Carolina and I'm back in Florida, I am just starting to get back into the swing of things, of making videos. What you see here is my truck as it was in North Carolina a long time ago. I had bought a new toy for it, and it was going to live just in front of the motor, and I had to take a few of the bits and pieces apart to put in this big metal plate. This thing was going to hold a new winch, which hopefully will come in handy in future days. I filmed it because I thought it was pretty interesting, and the install was very straightforward and easy, but I figured I'd refer to this at some point. While researching these recovery winches, I saw a lot of people were storing the hook on one of the toe points on the front of the vehicle. To me, it made it look like the tongue of a tired dog. I was looking for a cleaner look, something a little bit more elegant. Something slightly cleaner than this disaster. My buddy's shop is a working place though, and he gets a heck of a lot done. JB welding these nuts to this cover plate enabled me to reattach the license plate cover. This ought to give it a very low profile look, instead of that hose plate showing and the tired dog tongue sticking out. Now the winch would have a nice clandestine kind of look, hiding back there until it was needed. In the meantime, I was going to try and work on a different project. This one would require some tinkering around under the hood. You can see I removed these pins, get the insulation off of there, and access a part of the hood that I was interested in. Right there. This here is a template that I was working on, and in order to make this work, I was going to have to take my beloved F-150 here and make a hole in it. Well, sometimes if you want an omelet, you got to, I don't know, drill some holes, or I forget how that saying goes. And yeah, here I am, going against my better judgment and making a mess of my hood. This part hurt a lot, but I had faith that the outcome was going to be worth it. Still, it was making me sweat a little bit. Most of the great things that I've ever done in my life, great in my opinion, required that I did some unorthodox stuff. So dremeling through my hood here didn't deter me too much. I'll just put that over there. Yeah. Now with a big jagged hole over here, I figured I'd knock down some of the edges just in case, well, I didn't want to cut myself. It probably wouldn't get me during daily use, but during the installation I didn't want to get beat up. I also didn't want the solar panel to make any electricity during the time that I was installing it and the time that it gets hooked up. So you can see I covered it up. Marking where the outside of the panel is going to be helped me figure out where I was going to put this sealant. I've had great success with this sealant before on the RV. It seems to stay flexible and create a wonderful barrier in all kinds of conditions. So far this was an experiment, and I was just really hoping for the best. Also, just a side note, this solar panel was meant to charge my regular battery, which would control the winch, but in no way was it meant to control the winch directly. I drilled the 4 corners out where there were grommets from the factory. I thought this would suffice to hold the thing down so that the wind didn't blow it off. This panel had a little controller that you can see there that would make sure it didn't overcharge the battery. I snipped off the factory little doohickey, ran it through the hood, put the insulation back, and then I ran the wires down the hinge that holds the hood up. I was hoping it would collapse in such a way that it wouldn't pinch the wires. That could be a bad thing, given the fact that it was attached to a battery and has current running through it. From what I could see, this was going to work just fine. So I proceeded with wiring it up. I tucked it in and tried to put everything in a place that was out of the way. I used zip ties to make sure that the wire didn't move, and eventually I put some proper terminals on the end of the wires, making sure to use shrink wrap to help keep some of the moisture out of it. In my day, I've never been the best guy at wiring stuff, but in this particular case I felt like I did a pretty proper job. And I was certainly motivated because of the fact that I did not want to burn my truck down. I think in the end, after I attached the terminals and secured everything with tape, I had a system that was going to work pretty darn well. And removing the cover off the solar panel finally put it to work at the job it was intended to do. However, it seemed like it was sticking up a little bit too much, so I had to drill some extra holes and add some extra screws. I didn't really want to do this, but I figured, hey, I had enough holes in this thing as it was. A few more certainly wouldn't hurt. The end of the job was pretty much in sight, and I let everything set up for a couple of days. I did come back though to try to clean it up a little bit. The white adhesive was showing through the edges. So by adding a little black silicone in there, not only did I seal it up a little bit better, but I also made it look nice and pretty. Look at that, sitting there in the sun, looking tactical. It was also weatherproof. I must say, I was pretty pleased with this project. Well, this solar panel has been on my truck now for about 6 months. I did this in Morehead City, North Carolina, and now I'm back in Florida. And this thing has been great. The truck in the past, if I left it for more than a couple of days, well, the battery would die. It's been like that since I got the truck. There's probably something drawing on the battery, but now I can leave it for 4 or 5 days, I think is the longest I've left it. And it starts right up. And of course the battery is fully charged, which is nice, even though it's running when I use the winch. That winch is ridiculous, by the way. It feels like it's always trying to squish my fingers in it or something. It's rather intimidating, but a cool piece of gear to have for the truck. And there's a lot of other cool stuff that I've got coming up for the next year. I have been on the water a couple of times, even though it's winter time. That's the luxury of being in Florida, I suppose. I'll share some of that video with you coming up soon. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update and show you that cool footage that I had. I've been sitting on that for a while since I got back from Morehead City. Rest assured there'll be cool stuff coming up this next year. I hope you guys have had a wonderful Christmas and are enjoying the holiday season. Thanks for sticking with me as always. I appreciate you guys. See you soon.